Swiss German is probably the most difficult dialect of the German language, and indeed, most Germans have trouble understanding people from Switzerland if they speak Swiss German. Problem is, they all speak Swiss German. At least in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, that is. And they speak it in every situation, without any social restriction. You can hear it from working class to upper class, in the country and in the cities. Politicians give interviews in Swiss German. News speakers use standard German when talking to the camera, and then switch over to Swiss German when they talk to a guest in the studio. The Swiss love their dialect. But there's this one situation in which some Swiss people love it even a bit more than usual, and that is when talking to German tourists. Hast du das Gesicht von dem Deutschen gesehen? In fact, it's so different from standard German that when you have people talking Swiss German on German TV, usually there are subtitles. And when I'm in Switzerland and somebody speaks Swiss German to me, I cannot help thinking, where the hell are the subtitles? How am I supposed to understand you without subtitles? This is of course not only a problem of pronunciation, but also of grammar and vocabulary. I cannot go into that here. What I want to show you is the sound of Swiss German, and this is why this video is called German Accents and not German Dialects. So here's a little story in English, and with a Swiss accent it would sound like this. The other day I felt a bit hungry, so I wanted to go for a kebab. It was in the evening about 8 p.m. But when I came out of my house, I could see there was an accident, and the car had crashed into a bus. And the bus driver, he was under shock. He was looking at me like totally in a daze. And then my next door neighbor, Mr. Spetti, he came running out of his house, and the first thing he did was yelling at the bus drivers. Hey, what the fuck are you doing here? You cannot park here. This is private property. Such an asshole, that Mr. Spetti. But really, right in front of my house. But luckily, nobody was seriously injured, eh? And later, we found out that the whole thing was caught on camera because Mr. Spetti, he has CCTV. You may have noticed the Swissest of all Swiss sounds, and that is This is almost everywhere, which is why in Germany they tell this joke. How do Swiss people ask for the time? What is the time? Please don't get me wrong. I love Switzerland and I love the dialect. And yes, I know that there's more than one variety of Swiss German. So if you are from Switzerland and if you think, well, this would sound a little bit different in my home dialect, please go ahead, make a video yourself and post the link down there in the comments. I'm really interested. But I'm sure some people will feel offended, so feel free to insult me also down there in the comments. So Schwab, Gummihals. You can subscribe to my channel here, you can learn more about German accents here, and you can support me on Patreon so that I can afford to travel to Switzerland more often and learn more about the language. But if you choose to do so, please keep this in mind, Switzerland is very expensive.